Anti-government protesters continue to occupy a number of buildings at a wildlife refuge just outside of Burns, Oregon. The group first marched the streets of Burns Saturday to protest a federal judge's decision to send rancher Dwight Hamon and his son Stephen back to prison to serve more time for an arson charge they had already served time for. Well, hours later, they then took over a building at a wildlife refuge, saying their message is now to fight for everyone's constitutional rights. Jennifer Dowling goes beyond the headlines with more.
These are some of the buildings that protesters had taken over. I'd say there are about 20 on this complex, and they've settled in. They're saying that they're not afraid to use force if the government tries to get them out.
These are some of the buildings. Over here is the garages.
Protesters at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge gave us a tour of the now occupied headquarters.
There is a wonderful cook shack, and that's where they fix the meals. And
inside a kitchen, we found one of the members making soup.
Thanks.
Try to warm them up. Sorry.
Others showing us their sleeping quarters.
Real comfortable. You know, they got showers, and it's like a giant dorm, college dorm, I suppose.
It's cold, and so we do use the buildings to stay warm and out of the weather.
This grandpa from Arizona, Lavoy Finicum, was involved with the Bundy Ranch standoff, in which Ammon Bundy's father, Cliven, and armed protesters clashed with law enforcement.
This is the way we found it, and this is the way we'll leave it.
He says they're making a point to tread lightly on this property. Do you just have a code of conduct, or what do you do?
Oh, you try to just be respectful, be a good neighbor, don't tear anything up.
As for how they got in...
Well, I don't want to say this, but I'll say it. There's a whole stack of keys.
You found a stack of keys.
Yeah, I didn't, but there's keys to every place there. So no doors are broken. You can see there's no kicked in doors, no broken windows, no vandalism.
Was the keys accessible?
I didn't find them. It was someone else.
But things do get serious when it comes to security. At this encampment, there are details watching above in towers and also folks surveying on the grounds. Ammon Bundy, the leader of this takeover, spoke today with a constitution in his pocket.
Now this refuge here is rightfully owned by the people.
He said they decided to take over the property because he claims this refuge has been trying to push ranchers out, including the Hamons, violating their rights.
The ranch is adjacent to the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge and to have private property up on the Steen Mountains. They have refused for nearly 40 years to sell their ranch. And there have been very vindictive behaviors because they refuse. There have been intimidations, and the list goes on.
If the federal government decides to use force, will you respond with force as well?
That would have to be determined at that time. I would not be able to report on that.
Are you prepared to?
Absolutely.
They're also asking others to come to join them in taking a stand.
Well, we are asking people to come. We need you to come because we need to be united and we need to have a strong defense. That's the way we can make sure that there is no lives that are lost here. And I will be very clear, we will not be aggressive.
You have a cook shack, you have a bunkhouse, and you're inviting other people to come here.
Yes.
How will you screen them, or are you allowing anyone to come in?
We're not about restriction. We're about freedom. We're about transparency, openness. So come.
As for how they will survive, Ammon says supplies will be coming in from donations all over the country. He said a load came in last night. In Princeton, Jennifer Dowling, KOIN 6 News.
And KOIN 6 will stay on top of this story and bring you updates on air and online at KOIN.com.
It's going to be one of the tougher videos I've had to make. I'm going to start off with my family. I love you. My beautiful wife. I know I never said it enough. I'm so proud of the mother you've become. I'm so proud of you. You're such a good mom to our girls. My daughters, Maddie and Lily, I love you so much. You're only 3 and 5 now, and you have no idea. Your daddy swore an oath. He swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's why he couldn't be with you on Christmas. That's why I can't be with you on New Year's. I miss you so much, and you need to be good for your mom. The oppression and the tyranny that's taken place here in Oregon, we know it's taken place all across the U.S. The Bundy Ranch was prime example. And we, the people, need to take a stand. The Hamon family, they are not terrorists. Even the judge was sick to their stomach over the thing. Tried to give them a sentence of 3 months and 1 year. And this oppressive, tyrannical government, who really has no jurisdiction right here. This is Harney County's land. The Hamons were not tried by a jury of their peers. There's an indictment with no signatures on it. This is a cruel and unusual punishment. But this federal government comes in here and says, no, that's not enough. They need to do a minimum of 5 years. So after they did their time and they were set out with their families, they're out living their lives thinking it's all over with. And now they're being ordered to come back and finish out up to 5 years. And it's disgusting. Dwight, he's so old he may die in there. And I'm hoping he sees this video. Because it's real simple, Dwight. Do you want to die in prison, labeled as a terrorist by these oppressors? Or do you want to die out here with us as a free man? I want to die a free man. If you've sworn that oath, it is not just to protect and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic, when it's convenient for you, or as long as that defense doesn't include death. That's not how our independence was won. Very last sentence on the Declaration of Independence. This is what our founding fathers said. This is what they believed in, and this is what they set forth for us. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. more than anything, I want to be with my family. I do not want to be up here having to deal with this. But if you do not spearhead this and take a stand, it's going to set a new precedent across the U.S. They get stronger and think they can continue to go around and bully we the people. But when we unite and you take that stand, there's no stopping us. This Hamon family has been so oppressed, they've even been threatened with harsher prison conditions if they get caught communicating with people like myself or Ammon Bundy, who spent hours and hours and hours begging and pleading with the sheriff, trying to educate them and empower them, letting them know this is the supreme law of the land, the damn Constitution that you swore an oath to protect and defend. A sheriff who is supposed to be here to protect and defend his people. He now has an outside entity coming in and oppressing his people, and he is not going to stand with them. We've gone through all the avenues of approach. Legal binding documents. A redress of grievances been filed and ignored. Petitions filed and ignored. What other choice do we have than to stand? I've had to do a lot of soul searching up here. And I'm with good people who've also had to do a lot of soul searching. Some people that have been doing this soul searching for years. And I am 100% willing to lay my life down to fight against tyranny in this country. Does that mean I want war? Does that make me some sort of a warmonger? No. Thomas Paine said it the best. I prefer peace, but if trouble must come, let it come in my time, so that my children may know peace. There is a smear campaign going on out there pushing lies and propaganda, saying that the Hamons just want to give up. They want to turn themselves in. No, they don't. They don't want to go in. They don't want to deal with this. They've been threatened. They're scared. They don't want conflict. Stuart Rhodes, the founder of Oath Keepers, saying, well, they want to turn themselves in, so they have their right to turn themselves in. By your logic, I guess that we shouldn't offer any help to these veterans that want to commit suicide. Just let them start their 9mm. Because it's their right. More than helping the ones that are willing to stand up for themselves, we should be willing to stand up for the ones that are too afraid or scared or oppressed to help themselves. You take that stand. Out here in Harney County, Oregon, this used to be one of the most thriving economies in the entire state. This was the best back in the 80s. I'm here parked next to a mill. What has happened? The federal government, an oppressing force, comes in. Some kids go off to college and get their degree. The kids that have never had their hands dirty, and now they get these jobs at the BLM, and they're going to tell these ranchers, these people who are more in tune with the ground and with the earth out here, they're going to come out here and tell them how to run their show, how to ranch. how many head of cattle they can have, where they can go, where they can't go, on their own damn land. That is tyranny. Now you have one of the largest BLM offices. You have 70%, 60 to 70% of your population here either employed or on some sort of an entitlement by this government. Those people don't represent Harney County. I've gone out and met the people of Harney County. Been out here trying to win the hearts and minds while all these slander, nasty campaigns going on trying to say that we're out here harassing the citizens. We're following people, parking at their house. Does that even make sense? That I would come up here, I would miss Christmas with my family, miss weeks on end with to be with them, to come up here just to harass people in Oregon? While I'm up here trying to win the hearts and minds of these people? The success of us as a nation depends on us uniting as people. I do not want to drive you off. We need real men here. Men and women. Americans who have the intestinal fortitude to come here and take a stand and say enough is enough. We need to unite. Back to my family, I love you. And no matter what happens, no matter what lies are pushed out, just know that I stood for something. Don't let it be in vain. I love you.